The following is an Operation Podcast production.
I realized that I was performing. Carrying a mask for so long, it can get tiring. It was just a show to fit in and to be accepted. The journey of burning that version of myself to rise into someone who I am, that is how I came home to myself.
How do you think most women can use fitness to discover their purpose?
Fitness is definitely a stepping stool for a lot of people because it's hard for you to affirm that you feel good in your body if you're not actually taking the action. It's tangible to get the results through fitness. And when you have this evidence that you can change, you start to create more self-belief that you can also change other things in your life. What is up, you guys? I'm Meagan Nunez. I am CEO of She Bad and the bar. Okay, I messed that up for sure. Forget my name. Bless her heart.
This might sound familiar, Megan. You ready? Quote,
Yeah.
There's a moment in every woman's life where she realizes she's been performing.
Wow.
Performing strength, performing discipline, performing a version of herself she has outgrown. And behind the routine, the hustle, the perfection, is a woman who feels disconnected, tired, unseen, and unsure why she's doing everything, quote, right, but still doesn't feel like her. We're almost there, everybody. This is it's like a powerful spoken word here. That was me. That was you.
Yep.
Until I stopped performing and started listening. Until I stopped chasing change and started releasing what was never mine to carry. This is about coming home to yourself. It's a remembrance. It's a rebirth. It's the moment you choose you, fully, finally, and without apology. The next version of you is waiting, and she's ready to rise. Is that you? Is that a
Yes.
Megan original? Wow.
Yes.
Okay, well, welcome to the show, and props to you for that poem.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate that.
I picked and chose. I cut a little bit out of it, but you guys got to check out her social media for the full experience. But just a powerful way of words.
Thank you. Appreciate
So, what did you mean? What was the meaning behind that? The inspiration behind that? That shows a lot of thought going into it, and it's very impactful.
Yeah. So that was me pouring my heart out on social media. And for me, I just went through this big phase in my life where I was chasing after the wrong things and thinking that that's what makes me worthy and that's what makes me feel seen. But after achieving all of that and after checking off all the boxes that, society puts you in, I realized that I was performing and that I wasn't actually living the life that was mine. So it's like wearing a mask and carrying a mask for so long, it can get tiring. So that's where I had this moment of stillness and being in solitude and realizing that I'm unhappy with the life that I was living. I felt unfulfilled with that life because it wasn't me authentically. It was just a show to fit in and to be accepted. And for me, the journey of burning that version of myself to rise into someone who I am, that is how I came home to myself. Yeah.
Man. All right. A couple of things in there. I want to touch first on, you said you were chasing all the wrong things. What were the wrong things? That also begs the question, what are the right things?
So the wrong things, I want to say for me, was what everyone would consider as success. That would be, having this huge platform. And there's nothing wrong with that. Making money and, achieving all these materialistic things. There's nothing wrong with achieving these things, but I felt like I was in bondage to it. I felt like that was what
That's
I
an
was
aggressive
serving.
term.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it felt that like
It was
deeply
leading
connected.
my life,
Man.
basically. And that's when I was also in this phase of where I felt the most anxious because, again, I'm like holding on to these things. And I held on to these things to prove my worth because it was easier to find things outside of you to determine your worthiness versus finding it inside.
It makes me think, was this a realization you had of, oh, I didn't know my worth before coming into this, and now this is all new? Or did you feel like your worth changed because your circumstances in your world changed a little bit, and that caused struggle?
I think for me, I didn't know. I think for me, achieving all these different things, I was exposed to like mentorship. I was exposed to the limelight in a short amount of time, and I didn't really know anything at all. I was just told that this is what I was supposed to do, and it didn't help at that phase in my life. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have conviction in what I wanted to stand for. That it was so easy to just be influenced by other people. So that's where I attached my worth onto the things I was achieving versus finding that within.
Let's paint a picture for the listener, the viewer, to kind of really understand exactly what you were talking about. So, we were talking on the phone yesterday, and you were telling me in about a 3-month period, you grew from what was the starting point?
Oh my gosh. My account was like 63K.
Okay. So 63,000 followers on Instagram.
Yes.
In about 3 months to over 1 million.
1.4 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 3 months, that's significant change, regardless of how you want to look at it or whatever you want to call it. So what did that limelight, you said, what did that look like? What did that feel like? What was just this whirlwind of new worlds that you were in? And these kind of like expectations that you felt were thrown on you?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know what to do with my platform. I grew it starting from a place of service, just making content, doing fitness, and I don't know what happened, but I guess it clicked. And then everyone.
So this wasn't planned?
No, like I wanted to grow my account, but
There's no like, I'm doing like this viral routine or this hack or this dance or this whatever. It was just kind of you were doing your thing and just something clicked.
Yeah, I think for me, because I was making content, talking head content, where I'm just like sharing, my thoughts about like mindset and stuff like that. I've always just been the type of person who would just give it to you like straight up front, and I kind of marry the way I was teaching fitness to like my personality. And then that's where like those type of videos started, popping off. Plus like my humor in there, because I am just, I was unhinged. I want to say unhinged is the best word to describe it.
That's a form of humor.
Yeah.
It
was definitely unhinged. So putting that all together, that's what made it stand out. So I felt like for me, growing my account exposed me to a lot of opportunities. But it doesn't.
Like what? If you want to get specific or general, was it I'm used to creating content and this is how I make money or this is how I make a living, to completely different forms of economics?
Yeah. So before my account popped off, I was doing online fitness coaching, and my business was doing well. And I've always just had this calling of growing my account and having a platform. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I just have this feeling like I love creating content. I love, that's like my creative zone of genius. And so when I was coaching, I was also mentoring my coaches at that time. So I was doing that full time. And then I just, when my account started growing, I got opportunities that were easier to make money. So things like
them coming to you maybe instead of you having to go searching for them.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, with online fitness coaching, it's like you have to find your clients, you have to make content to convert. And the difference with having an account with an audience, you have the flexibility with the content that you create. It doesn't necessarily need to be like, oh, I'm looking for X clients. It's more so like, if you want to post a random video, you can post a random video and it'll still convert because people want to connect with you. And, being under a talent agency and them, pairing me with brands, collaborations. And there were just a lot of opportunities that opened up for me really fast. And that's when, making money was just so easy. Like one post was like a 5-figure brand deal,
One post, 5 figures.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, oh, let me just do, content creation full time. instead of doing like online fitness coaching.
Yeah.
But that's where the lines got blurred, and that's where I started leading from ego with what I was building, and showing up differently versus when I was serving others as an online fitness coach. Yeah.
When you say leading from a place of ego, do you have a better understanding of that now that you're kind of, not to put words in your mouth, but kind of on the other side of it? So if you can kind of turn around and look back at that, Meagan, and go, she was leading from ego. This is what it looked like. And this is maybe even why.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's like, having all these different opportunities. I felt like it was, I want to say the best way to describe it is I was just accepting all these different brand deals, even though it didn't align with me, just because I knew it was going to get me a paycheck. So
literally just saying yes to anything and everything?
Yeah. Like the randomest thing, like
what was the most random thing you said yes to for a deal? Yeah, I love.
I guess like now it makes
sense
sense because of what I was posting. But I got this brand deal of an adult toy, just a picture with it, and they paid me like 5 figures for that.
Just to hold it up.
Yeah, to hold it up and to like put the link in my bio so people could buy it. But if you think about it, why am I promoting? You know what I mean? It was just a random thing. I don't know, Meagan,
you tell me.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I was like, what is this about? But at that time, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because it's so easy to say yes to an opportunity like that. But if you ask me now, I would definitely be like, yeah, I don't think this is something that fits.
Okay, why not now? Why would you say no to that same deal you said yes to a year ago?
Because now I'm more so cautious in making sure that anything that I bring into my world needs to align with what I'm building. If I want to help women transform in a deeper way, adult toys are not the answer.
Maybe if you want to go more the sexual health approach,
I can see that.
The intimacy approach. I mean, you can make an argument really for anything. I think that's not maybe the case here. I don't know.
I think for me too is like growing my faith with God too, and where I stand in that, it just doesn't align.
So that kind of said, maybe not so much.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, 180.
So you also have this amazing quote. I used to be terrified of being alone, but solitude is where I found me. I love looking at your content and your work now, and you talk a lot about stillness and going in and getting quiet. That for me has been transformational. By chance, have you read the book Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday?
No.
I should have thought ahead. I should have brought you a copy. Check it out.
Yeah.
That practice of getting still and quiet on a regular basis, incorporate that into your routine of like, this is when I work, this is when I work out, this is when I whatever. Making time, like literally scheduling time to do nothing, to be still with yourself, has given me the most transformational ideas and experiences. So what were some of your practices for getting still when you were, quote, finding yourself in solitude?
The crazy part is I've gotten 2 phases in my life where I was forced to sit in solitude. And it was, I want to say in between leaving a relationship. Because I used to be the type of person who I want to describe as like chameleon, where whoever I'm with, I tend to lose my own identity.
Adaptable.
Yes.
Maybe ish. Yeah.
Well, maybe to a point where I like actually lose my integrity, lose myself and all that. So I've experienced it twice in my life where I sat in solitude. The first one was actually crazy because I just made this decision to move to Canada in British Columbia randomly, by the way. And before that, I've never like sat with myself. I've always lived with somebody, like lived with family, lived with friends. And because of that experience, I didn't know how to make my own decisions. I've always just relied on other people.
Oof, what was that like?
Well, people pleasing, right? So, and yeah, it was hard for me to know my own identity and to figure out what I want for myself. And it was so easy to just ask other people's opinions about, oh, what should I do with my life? Which career should I go for? And you put yourself in those boxes and you find yourself resenting the person that you're becoming because it's not what you want. So that was one of the experiences I had moving to Kelowna, British
Yeah.
Columbia. I rented an Airbnb, stayed there for like 5 months. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know like the culture there. I know nothing. I was forced to sit with myself and figure out how can I take care of myself in this random place. And it was crazy too because it was winter time and everyone was asking me in Kelowna, like, why are you here? Because it's like the
We
worst
normally
time
don't
to
get
go.
visitors winter in Canada.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the summer capital of BC and I'm over there in winter time. So I think
Probably got a better Airbnb rate.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that really helped me just create my own routine that helped me, sit in silence and actually face my fears and what are some things that I've been running away from. Back then, I didn't know how to self-regulate. I just always distract myself. Like even like going to the gym was a distraction. And yeah, it was hard for me to know my worth and to know who I truly am and what I want to build for myself if I didn't go through that experience. So that was the first time I sat in solitude. And then the one after that is the same thing, like leaving a relationship, moving into my own place and just sitting with myself in that stillness. But the difference now is when I'm sitting with myself, because I'm very big on, my religion, I have God to speak to. And it's like connecting with a higher source help me understand I'm valuable, help me understand my value and the vision that he gave me is completely different from the life I thought I'm supposed to have. So
how did you land on that? Because you just said that with, I interpret it as pretty clear clarity.
Yes.
So how did you land on that? Was it just a moment? Was it revelation? Or was it this series of events of solitude and kind of coming back home to yourself?
Yeah. I think for me, it was definitely a series of moments where I felt this tug calling me to be alone, calling me to sit with myself. I think at some point when you're just spinning your wheels for so long, you have no option but to just slow down. That's what I was doing. I was overworking. I was giving myself too many projects at the same time. And I felt that burnout, like that feeling of burnout where I was waking up to a life that didn't feel like mine. I felt like I was in autopilot, waking up the same, going to bed the same, feeling unfulfilled, feeling the emptiness. And that's when I knew that I needed to change something. And I only got that answer when I literally just sat in my car by myself. And it was the first time in a long time where I felt everything. I felt like I needed to pour out everything that I've been shutting down, everything that I've been pushing to the side. Because I didn't grow up knowing how to like regulate my emotions. I was taught to just bottle it, like shut up, go to the side, you know what I mean? So in moments where I didn't even have any music on, I heard my voice and my intuition started speaking to me more and saying like, you need to get out of this life that you've been living. It's not actually yours. Yeah.
That in and of itself, I think, is two things. The most empowering, but yet the most terrifying experience we could ever have. Because it's like this realization, right, of, oh, I can have the life that I want. It's just a matter of me acting on it.
Yes.
But that also means I have to leave behind this life that I know. So there's this period of empowerment and stepping into the future that we want, and even the one probably we feel like we deserve or been working towards, but haven't learned how to take ownership of that and to really fully embody. But then also like a grieving almost of the past life. Did you struggle more with embodying of this new future self or grieving of the old self?
I want to say both. The in between was where I actually struggled because I knew some part of me was ready to embody this version of myself that I know I'm supposed to be. But the grieving is what scared me. The grieving and leaving behind the old life or the identity is what scared me because a lot of people feel like this where it's comfortable, it's predictable, it's what you know. And leading into your next phase means uncertainty. It means you don't know what's next. Is this actually the life that I'm supposed to live? There's just a lot of cases where you don't know the answers. And that just challenges you to figure out a way how you can build certainty within yourself versus the certainty of the outcome.
I just got an idea and I decided to do something different. Welcome to the world of being an interviewer.
I'm learning. I'm catching up, you guys.
Okay, here's one you might appreciate coming from your health and fitness background, and still very much a part of your life. Quote, the body benefits from movement and the mind benefits from stillness. As you were kind of navigating this new territory of stillness and figuring yourself out, how did you know to keep the body moving, but to quiet the mind? How do you find this kind of balance of keeping the body alive? Because I know health and fitness and training and staying active is a big part of your life. How did you know to really allow that movement and quote, even that noise to keep moving, but still quiet the mind? How did you find that balance?
I think for me, because I've been doing fitness for so long, it's more so just automatic. Like it's so easy for me to just move my body. In terms of the moments where I was burnout, though, it was completely different. I want to say I experienced the opposite of what you're asking.
How so?
My mind was in chaos for so long, living the life I was living, and I continued to ignore it, and I continued to keep myself busy. I shut down my mind, then my body started to speak. So that's when I didn't quite understand what was going on with my body, to be honest.
What was happening?
I was experiencing a lot of inflammation. I was experiencing bloating, acne all over my face. I never had acne like that in a long time, or never been, period. I was waking up groggy, brain fog. I did everything right. I was tracking my calories and my macros. I was, sleeping on time. I was doing, red light therapy. I was, making sure the foods that I'm fueling my body were all whole foods. I was on an anti-inflammatory diet for, 2-3 months, but nothing was working. And
it's so frustrating.
Yeah. And I figured out, what could it be? Because I'm checking all of the boxes. And it's actually chronic stress. And the stress came from misalignment and continuously showing up and doing more when I should be doing less of the right things. So
maybe in your case here, and I think a lot of people's case, I can relate as well, the body needs to be quiet.
Yeah.
We need to slow the body down and give it a chance to play catch, especially, people like ourselves who come from just years of it's just who we are. It's what we do. X amount of days I train, X amount of days I'm moving my body, X amount of time, steps a day, I'm moving my body, I'm doing the thing. That compounded, outside looking in, it looks like great.
Yeah.
It looks, you're routine, or you're disciplined, you're fit. But the body is a living, breathing, dynamic thing. And it can only take so much of that stress, albeit good stress, before it's gonna fight back.
Yeah. Mine was terrible.
What was the worst? Besides, you said inflammation. Maybe that was it. But what was the worst physical experience, physical ailment, or physical scream you were experiencing before you kind of quieted the body down? And how did you navigate that?
I want to say that was it was definitely all of that combined, because I didn't quite understand what was going on. Like my gut health was compromised. I was actually sick for 2 months straight.
What do you mean sick for 2 months?
Like I was getting the flu for 2 months.
Sick.
Like sick, like really sick. And because my gut health was compromised, it was easy for me.
So your immune system was in the tank,
Yeah. So all of that combined, my body, that was my body's way of crying for help. And I actually looked at my Aura ring, and on the dates where it happened, oh my gosh, the stress levels is up there. Because it's normal to have stress throughout the entire day, but I stayed up there. Yeah. So that's where I knew something's going on, because I'm doing everything right. I am, I'm journaling in the morning. I am doing my cardio. I'm slowing down. I'm making sure I'm listening to my body when I'm training, but listening to my body in a deeper way was what I actually needed.
What would you say you do differently now in terms of listening to your body that's working compared to then when it wasn't?
I want to say with symptoms like that is figuring out the root cause of it instead of trying to find the next Band-Aid solution to it. It's not the next diet. It's not the next workout plan. It's not the next supplement. It's definitely figuring out what's causing the stress and what's draining your energy in your life. That's what I needed to do, a energy audit, when I figured out, okay, this is a lot for me, and I needed to figure out what was draining my energy and what's causing me to feel stressed out. And that's where I pivoted in my life.
What does this energy audit look like? Do you have like a protocol, or is it just kind of like a feeling?
I want to say you can just go through your notes and just put down like what and who are the people that are draining your energy and what fills you up. And then when you list both of these things, you can see what are you spending most of your time on. And for me, the long list of energy drainers was where I was at. And I wasn't spending time, filling up my own cup. So that's where I needed to change a lot of things in my life for me to start coming home to myself and for me to start healing my body.
All right. So when I asked you what was the energy audit, the first thing out of your mouth was people.
Yeah.
These people, these energy drainers. Do you think that is where most of our energy audits should be focused? Do you feel like other people, is it more external factors that is draining most people's energy and should really be looked at in this audit?
I think for a lot of people, and for me, it's definitely the people in your life, because people tend to be people pleasers. And you carry a lot of resentment in the relationships that you have because of that. So for me and the people that I have helped, I've seen that it's usually people, not just, environment itself.
And speaking of helping people, Melinda French Gates said, a woman with a voice is by definition a strong woman. So you have, quote, a voice now of over 1 million people online. 1 point something?
4, yeah.
1.4.
Yeah.
1.4. Do you consider yourself a stronger woman now because of your growing platform?
I want to say what makes me a stronger woman is not the platform, but the testimony that I carry from the life that I lived.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I could have, I don't know, like a few followers if I want to, but if I'm able to speak my truth and speak my testimony to the number of followers that I have, that's still me creating an impact.
Are you happier now with over 1.4 million followers than you were with, let's say, 1,000? What's the biggest difference here?
It's definitely the responsibility that you carry, because having eyeballs on you makes you realize that there's people that actually look up to you. That's a huge responsibility. And I think about the identity that I was before to the identity that I have now. I think it's cool to also show the transformation that I've gone through and how I was brave enough to pivot, because it gives them permission to also lean into what's their truth and what speaks to them better.
I'm sure you got some hate along the way.
Oh, yeah.
In my experience on social media, here in LA, in any kind of normal growth or massive quick growth in life, you get a lot of new eyes.
Yeah.
And a lot of those eyes aren't fans. They love to hate. They love to comment. They love to troll. Would you be willing to share maybe some of those negative experiences? And if so, how did you navigate that? Because I heard a lot of great growth, financial opportunities and just eyes on and impact for other women that you help lead and coach and mentor. But I'm sure it came at maybe a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to be honest. The first time I got a hate comment, like a really bad hate comment, I didn't know how to handle it. I was a very reactive person back then. I didn't respond. I was even debating if I should delete the video. This is crazy, because if I did delete that video, I wouldn't have the platform that I have now.
Oh, that video was that
the
impactful?
One that went viral, my very first gym
the
video.
One.
The one, yes.
Really?
And because of how I delivered my message, I can understand why everyone wouldn't receive it well. It could come off as, oh, she's being rude, she's being mean. And I understand that. I mean, everyone has a different perception, So when I got that comment, I remember I was like, I'm just going to delete it. I don't like how this feels and it's uncomfortable. It's very new to me, but I was very thankful that I had a friend at that time that gave me this advice that whatever it is that you post, as long as you're willing to die on that hill, it doesn't matter if people agree or not. So for me, I was like, I do believe that the information that I gave on this video is something that I'm going to die on. So it's fine if someone doesn't receive it well.
Personal integrity.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you do differently now? You know, kind of being this transformed self quite a bit, you know, or more on this transformational journey. You post something today that you feel just as aligned with as you did that first video.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it does wonders for you as well in terms of growth.
Yeah.
But you're a different person now compared to that person a year ago whenever this video went viral. Would you do anything differently? Would you respond any differently to this hate, to this comment?
Yeah. That's actually really funny because this morning I did my cardio and I was scrolling through my comments.
She's like, speak of the devil, I got all kinds of hate today. Yeah.
Actually, while we're talking about this, I did get a hate comment from my recent post about this pivot that I'm doing. And I responded to it with love. It's very different. And that's because I see people that carry a lot of hate in their heart as people that are just lost. And it's so easy to just project how you're feeling internally outside of you versus to look at the mirror. So I just approach it with empathy. And I literally comment back and said, bless your heart. Whatever it is that you're going through, I'm praying for you. I mean, what are they going to respond after that, you know? So
where I'm from, bless your heart means something different.
Does it? What does it mean?
In the South, saying bless your heart is kind of like, oh, like they're a little special. Right? They're like not the sharpest tool in the shed.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Where's all my other like deep South
Imagine
family?
he takes it that way.
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's a different conversation. Now it's more hate.
See, even with, you know, the quote, right words.
Yeah.
No matter what you say or do with a platform, it's always subject to interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, here's another one from Serena Williams. Quote, every woman's success should be an inspiration to another. What do you hope you inspire in other women when they look to you? And speaking of the P word, your perceived success.
I think for me, it's definitely being brave enough to create the life that you actually want to live. That's what I want to teach women. Because, I mean, women typically feel like they don't have a voice, feel like they can't make space. They feel like they have to box themselves into what other people want them to be. And understanding that you can take your experiences in your own life and use that as a testimony and become powerful from that is what makes me, you know, that's what fires me up. Yeah.
If you could add on to that, and here is step one, generically speaking.
Yes.
What do you think that would be, and how could that realistically work for most women out there?
Step one is definitely looking inward. Step one is looking inward. That's the hardest thing because it's easier to just, again, attach your identity as the mom, the sister, the best friend, all these different things versus figuring out who you are. And I think it's so powerful to understand who you are because then you understand your values, you understand your beliefs, you understand your vision, and that's going to be your anchor to creating the life that you actually want to live. And that's how you become this powerful woman. Just understanding who you are, looking inward. It's
like, okay, you're chasing this shiny object. And the more you chase one version of yourself, you get further away from the truest one.
Oh my God, that's what happened to me.
All right.
Yeah. That was me like in fitness because I was like, this is what's working. Everyone's eating this up in the algorithm. This is what's going viral. It's crazy because like what I mentioned, I was so fed by my ego of, oh yeah, if I post this video, immediately in an hour, 1 million views. It's like it was this dopamine that I was getting. Yeah. So I was falling into that trap of performing and just trying to be this person for social media versus what do I actually want to speak about? So I lost myself in the sauce. Well,
welcome back. We've got a whole new sauce over here. Yeah. So we've been kind of talking about it, but I know a big part of your world is how you help other women in their health and fitness journey. to quote you here, helping women evolve and live with purpose.
Yes.
Why do women need to evolve? And how do you think most women can use fitness to discover their purpose?
Mm-hmm. I want to say fitness is definitely a stepping stool for a lot of people because it's hard for you to affirm that you feel good in your body if you're not actually taking the action. So fitness is, a great way for you to start building those reps, start building that self-trust. It's tangible to get the results through fitness. And when you have this evidence that you can change, you start to create more self-belief that you can also change other things in your life.
Nothing like those newbie gains, huh?
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. And then once you start getting into it, it's so much harder to build your body.
I know. Man, if we could just go back to like week 6 or 7. God.
Where it's like, lose body fat, build muscle. Yeah, totally get it.
Do you think women are really after weight loss or is it something else?
Wow. It's definitely deeper than that, I want to say. Because you lose the weight and you still don't know if you're worthy. I talk to so many women.
Worthy of what? What do you mean?
Worthy of, I want to say, love. A lot of them feel like they have to, of course, like you have to work on yourself. Self-development is a huge aspect that you need to, focus on. But I want to say that they're chasing after the wrong things, trying to become someone that they're not and thinking like, okay, if I lose the weight, then this. When it's supposed to be, I am worthy now, so I'm just going to realign myself to what I actually deserve. So it's completely different. Instead of you chasing after the next transformation, it should be knowing that you're worthy so that you just realign yourself with it. Yeah.
It reminds me, I was telling you, I come from the health coaching space, and particularly the credentialing program I went through, ACE, their certified health coaching program, very heavy on human behavior and behavior change modification versus here's the workout, here's the nutrition plan. And that was just like the biggest aha moment to me in my coaching practice. I'm like, wait a minute, why don't we start with attacking my microphone?
Nah, that didn't happen.
Why don't we? It's my first podcast ever. Why don't we start with that? With ourselves, and especially when we're in like the coachee relationship, if we could focus on that integrity, that identity, that worthiness first. I always saw higher adherence after the fact.
Absolutely.
Was that was that also your experience?
With so many clients. And I think coaching is not just like the programs that you're building for these people. Coaching is therapy. Coaching is helping someone, again, break patterns, change behaviors, create new ones. It's a lot of mental and emotional work that you need to help somebody. So I've seen better retention on, my business when I'm actually going deeper first versus like, let's just do this challenge and just lose this weight. Because once you lose the weight and they start to lose that motivation, then what? What's their next steps?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And maybe you already do this in your coaching practice, but how could you kind of, help the audience member right now mentally prepare for that aspect of their health and fitness journey, even say, weight loss journey?
Yeah.
Where they might not even be giving it any attention right now.
So I want to say the process mentally for them to continuously evolve in their journey is starting. I want to describe it as like a spectrum, right? So you start off with using the pain that you're feeling right now, and you just want to get out of it. And as you're losing the weight, as you're feeling better in your body, you start to get away from that pain. And if you're still using pain as a driver to move forward and you don't feel it, that's when people start to lose that motivation. So the next step after that would definitely be creating that vision for yourself. So instead of using pain to drive you, you need to be driven by what are your next steps? Who do you want to become? So this is where becoming needs to be the center of your, I want to say, motivation when it comes to achieving your next, fitness goal or whatever aspect in your life. So going through that spectrum is really important, but people get stuck from I just don't want to, be overweight. I just don't want to feel like this in my body. But what do you want to feel instead of what you just don't want to feel?
Oof.
Yeah.
Yes. Takes me back to my coaching days. Gets me all fired up. Application in the show notes. I'm just kidding.
This is a CTA. DM me the keyword coach, and I'll reach out to you in your DMs.
What do you think is the worst advice you see being thrown around right now in the health and fitness space, particularly as it relates to women in their health and fitness journey?
Oh, wow. I want to say just do more
Like
with no context.
just like work harder, do
Yeah,
more reps.
like
just,
hustle harder, grind more. You're not disciplined enough. So I want to say it's very masculine of an advice for women. The whole like, there's nothing wrong with discipline, but you have to come from a place of loving yourself versus hurting yourself emotionally and mentally to be disciplined.
and perhaps physically.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in the readiness to change
Yeah.
model. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think moves the needle the most, maybe quite literally here, for women that they may be overlooking in their health and fitness journey?
I want to say reframing the way you see discipline. For me, I actually made a video about this. I talked about how discipline kind of gives off, I said in my video, military vibes. So it's like very, rigid, very this. I want to say a lot of women avoid that because it's uncomfortable. It makes sense. But there's a way to reframe it to where it's coming from self-love. I want to say instead of using discipline, you can say devotion. Yeah, I'm devoted to moving my body. I'm devoted to fueling my body better. I'm devoted to taking care of me versus I need to do this because I'm disciplined. So,
That's
there's
so well said.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think to your point, it immediately kind of softens or adds like a feminine energy aspect to that.
Yeah.
But I think arguably anyone who hears devotion has just as clear understanding of what that means, what that looks like, what that feels like.
Yeah.
Comparatively to like discipline.
Yeah.
It's like a much more like intimate promise.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've shifted the way I coached and me teaching women how to embody a more devoted version of themselves. I've seen better results for them. They show up better. They know that again, it comes from a place of self-love versus just, I just need to do this or check off a box. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that. Where do you think are women focusing too much that is not going to realistically give them the results they are looking for?
Is this with fitness?
Yes.
Okay.
Health and fitness particularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Focusing on too much. Instant gratification. Finding the next thing, the next Band-Aid solution to their problem. And, doing all these quick challenges to lose weight doesn't solve the problem. I want to say the longer the process is, the better it is for you, because that's how you also instill a lot of habits and behaviors that's going to help you retain the results that you work so hard for.
Please say that again.
How do I say that again? It's so long. I want to say the longer it takes, the better it is, because the more you're going to retain the information that you learned, the more you're going to build new habits that's going to help you keep the results that you work so hard for.
I think if anyone could wrap their head around, become devoted to the idea, this timeline of at least 1 year.
Yes.
Instead of 12 weeks, 16 weeks.
Yeah.
I promise you are going to be way happier with the process and the results. And you're going to develop this innate skill set along the way that is going to become your lifestyle. Yeah. Instead of just being married to or stuck to just some template all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I also think that, I always say, like, give it a year. Just give it a year. It took you a very long time to get your body to that point of, these unhealthy eating habits and healthy patterns that you've been so stuck in. It took you a very long time to get to rock bottom. It's not going to be fixed in 12 weeks. Give it a year.
Did you catch that? Everybody watching? Rewind that. That's so good.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you think women should focus first on fat loss or muscle building?
Oh.
Hot take.
Well, I want to say it depends where they're at, because they can do both.
I'm so glad the first words out of your mouth were, it depends.
Yes.
That is such a telltale sign of someone that I think deserves a closer look at working with. Yeah. Any good coach is always going to say, It depends.
Yeah.
You know?
There's not one answer to
Yeah.
everything. You
I
know?
so please, it depends on what?
It depends on where they're at in their fitness journey. I want to say, like, for most general population of people, they can do both. Like we talked about this earlier, the newbie gains. If you're new to the gym, look, transformation you're gonna get is so much better.
Kind of makes me want to like stop
I know,
everything
training
for a couple months and just.
I'm a newbie, so do your thing. If you've been training for a long time, it takes you longer to get results. I want to say, some people with a small amount of body fat too. Can get away with a short, fat loss phase and then start getting into a building phase. If someone is, a hard gainer, I really want to say the answer to that, it really depends on the person that I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me about 8 months almost of eating 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day to start putting on any weight that stayed.
That's crazy. And then you have to like train harder too.
Yeah. Yeah, I hover these days around 190. Mm-hmm. And when I got out of the military, I was kind of rehabilitating some injuries. And so it took me a couple of years to kind of really get into my routine. But I'd say I've been regularly strength training 10 years. We'll say on kind of the routine that I'm doing now. I focus first on heavy compound movements, and then I kind of just have fun afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm about 20, 25 pounds heavier than when I started. I was like 165-ish.
10 years?
Now I stay around 190. Yeah.
But some people are like, I want to gain muscle and be all this jacked person in 2 weeks.
Yeah. This is the jacked physique you too can have after 10 years. Yeah. No, I mean, I never got like super into it. I never competed or never wanted to. And, I've definitely fluctuated here and there with, body composition, but I can literally more or less just kind of like gauge everything, and I'm going to stay the same.
Yeah.
But 10 years, it takes that amount of time of devotion.
Yes.
And consistency and habits to kind of just at least maintain these things. But to go from 165 to 190,
that's crazy.
Is not an easy thing.
And your body better too, the longer it takes. Oh my God, yeah. It's like, okay, what are your macro breakdown that works best for your body? Training style works best for you and your body. So the longer it takes, the more it's going to benefit you.
Shifting gears a little bit, but to still kind of stay in the health and fitness world.
Yeah.
Because I personally think mental health is crucial. And we've been kind of talking about your practices a bit with mental health, but just taking it off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
What role do you think mental health plays in terms of a woman hitting her weight/body composition goals?
Oh, wow. I want to say it does have a huge role in the process, because if you are mentally struggling to show up, it's hard for you to have that transformation. And this is where I want to say taking that first step is really important, because action creates that motivation, not the other way around. So when you start, taking the action, even though when you don't feel like it, and you start to get those results mentally, it's going to start aligning with how your body's feeling. So this is why both of them work together.
What are some of your current favorite mental health practices?
Oh, I definitely do a lot of journaling, breath work. I also do read. I think it's really important to read books based on where you're at in your life. It doesn't have to be like, all self-development, this, and that. It could be whatever you need, like business right now. It could be, being creative. It really depends on where you're at. But always nourishing your brain, always learning something new, and creating too. I think that's really important, because we overconsume, but we don't create when it's supposed to.
It all goes in. It doesn't always come out, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What was the moment where you took your health into your hands finally? We kind of talked about it in the beginning, but if you can kind of take us back to that moment, was there a defining moment where you're just like, I've had enough, this is it, tomorrow's the day, today's the day.
Yeah.
How did this journey begin for you? What did it look like? What did it feel like?
Do I start from the very first time
if you have this defining moment, take us back to that moment. Let us relive it with you.
Yeah. For me, it was actually before COVID happened. Long time ago. This was when I was also someone who was working a 9-to-5 job, living in autopilot and happy with my life. I had all these different habits that didn't serve me. I was partying all the time, and I live in California at this time. And I was constantly running away from the life I was living. You know, I was emotionally eating. I didn't know how to cope with my emotions. I was struggling with depression, anxiety, and that led me to gaining 30 pounds. And the defining moment for me was that I was in this party with a bunch of my friends and I went to the bathroom. It was at our place. And I was crossfaded. She was a crazy girl back there, okay? And not anymore, I'll tell you that right now. I was crossfaded. I went to the bathroom and I realized I left my closet open. And I looked in the mirror and I tried forcing a smile. I actually took a photo of myself trying to force that smile. And I could just see in my eyes how I was gone. Like I was not the person that I wanted to be at that time. And I looked at the reflection of my closet and I realized I haven't worn any of the clothes that I have in that, you know, the whole thing. And I looked at my body and I felt so uncomfortable. It felt like I was forced to actually look at myself in the mirror because I haven't in a very long time. And that moment for me was when I decided that I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to keep living a life that doesn't feel like mine. And sure enough, after that, I hired a coach. I reached out to like an online coach at that time. It was the online fitness space was very small this time. So it was easy for me to just pick someone that aligned with me. So I did that. And then me losing the weight led me to also, taking care of myself overall and going after my career and building my online fitness coaching business from there too. So that defining moment really changed my perspective and knowing that you can come from rock bottom and still pick yourself back up.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
Slay for the girls.
Speaking of the girls,
yeah.
Let's say there's a woman listening right now, watching right now, and this is going to be her opportunity for that defining moment. What do you want to tell her? What do you want to allow her? What do you want to give her permission to hear for herself to be this defining moment for her?
This is going to be your testimony one day. That's what I want to say. Because everything that you go through is meant for you to go through so you can speak about it and inspire others one day. Just like how I was speaking about mine. So I always say, like, when you are in the mud, when you're going through the valley, before you get to the mountaintop, that's where the fruits grow. And I talked about this in my story earlier too, and I said that this is me and my faith, and I said that God doesn't put you through the fire to burn you, he puts you through the fire to know how to stand in it. So that's your defining moment. You just have to lean into it knowing that you're going to get out of it, and this is going to be your story one day.
All right, I want to take that same question and spin it on you. Let's go back to that Meagan in the party.
Yeah.
She's faded. She's not sure if she's
crazy.
Up, she's down.
Yeah.
She thinks she's having a good time. Maybe she was.
Probably trying to escape from whatever she was going through.
But she caught herself in the mirror.
Yes.
And she's taking that photo of herself. She's trying to squeeze out that smile while at the same time questioning, why am I trying to squeeze out a smile? I'm here. I'm having fun, right? Or questioning maybe life choices, questioning if I want tomorrow to be any different. What would you tell her in that mirror, in that photo right now?
That's a really good question. At some point, you're going to have to take the mask off. At some point, the mask itself is going to crack. And you can't keep living like this because this is not you.
It kind of sounds like you were really aware at that moment that there was a mask, trying to force yourself to smile.
Right. And I'm saying it.
You know?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you were alone. You were in the privacy of your own home, your own bedroom, your own closet.
Yeah.
And so if you're struggling that much in that space, that probably was like undoubtedly the defining moment of, wow, I am wearing a mask.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you're carrying a suit, you know? At some point, it just doesn't feel like you anymore.
Well, I'm so glad we got connected, kind of getting us to the end here. You know, we connected for other reasons, but I was like, no, we got to get you on the show. This is just like your story, your energy, your zest is just too much to not share with my audience. So thank you for making time on your trip here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
To wrap it all up, to bring your mission, your story through the lens of my mission here on the show is to help myself through listening to my guests, but also to help my audience live a life ever forward. Those two words, Meagan, what do they mean to you?
Lean into your becoming. Yeah, lean into your becoming. And we talked about how, leaving your old identity is hard, and stepping into who you're supposed to be is also hard. But you have to lean into your becoming because that's what you're called to do. Ever forward means just lean into your becoming.
All right, I might have to co-sign on that and add it to the tagline. That's
all right.
So good.
Put it on a shirt, you guys.
New apparel coming soon. We'll see.
We got a discount code in the bottom.
Where can my audience go to connect with you, to learn more about your mission and what you're up to most today?
Where can they find me? It's going to be Meagan Nunez. It's MEAG. Don't ask me why it's spelled that way. My mom spelled it wrong. Meagan Nunez.
She's a nice lady.
Yeah.
Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. Meagan Nunez on all social media platforms.
Okay. Well, we'll have that linked down in the show notes and video description box for you guys. And you've got a podcast you're, beginning to fan that flame a bit, right?
Yes.
We'll maybe get to hear and see more of that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm doing a whole rebrand right now because of the era that I am stepping into. And I am calling it Burn to Become.
Burn to Become.
Yeah.
All right.
Like a phoenix.
All right.
Rising from the ashes.
It's lit. It's my lame dad joke of the podcast. I got to get one in, all right? It's lit.
He's keeping up, you guys. Right? He's doing great.